Hi, I bought one of these M1 helmets off one of those Chinese websites because I wanted to see how it looked. I saw one at an event I went to. Somebody was wearing one, and I thought, that doesn't look that great. So I bought one just to see what they were. And overall impressions, they're not too bad. The shells are the right kind of shape and size, and textures not too great on them. It's the silica sand style, but the liner is where you really notice it. They're a lot thinner, but overall, like I said, the textures, the silica sand later style, kind of Vietnam style. Those chin straps are basically garbage. They're really thin. The leather chin strap on the front's actually pretty decent. But in looking at it, I realized this is about the same setup as an early Vietnam, uh, late Korea, early Vietnam. So I put a cover on one, and that's how it looks. It's really not bad if you're going for that kind of mid '60s, early Vietnam look before they had the cat eye elastic band, something kind of like that, where you still have the leather chin strap across the front, and if you're going for that, it's perfect. The texture is perfect. The liner is that style. The chin straps are still wrong, but overall, not bad. But as it was being sold as a World War II era or style helmet, I thought I'd see what I could do to make it look a little bit better. I used water to get the cover to seat right, so when I took this apart, there's water on it. But that dries out. It's not a big deal. That liner's plastic. It's not the fiber or the resin type. So the first thing, I thought, let's get rid of these chin straps because they're trash. And instead of being spring steel like the originals, they're just mild steel that's just like stamped or pinched on there. So I got a screwdriver to have to pry those off because they're just bent on there. And that's pretty easy to do. Like I said, it would have been easier to keep it kind of Vietnam style, but as they're going for the World War II style, I decided not a lot I can do with the liner. The suspension's really thin. The sweatband's just Naga hide, and so I decided not to touch it. There's not a lot you can do without putting the same money into it that you'd have in a real one. So we're going to focus on the shell. So the first thing I thought is we need to change the texture. So I attempted to wire brush it, and that paint's actually pretty decent. So I could have sat there for a while and taken some more of that off, but I thought it's a good base, it's a texture. So I gave up and just decided to take a little bit off the rim because that's a part that will wear. And this is the paint I'm using and the corking. So I just put a little base layer of paint on, and then kind of sprinkle the cork on. And it was kind of windy, so this was a little bit difficult. And I know it's really easy to overdo the cork, so I didn't want to put too much on. I probably should have put a little bit more on, but I know that's kind of a beginner mistake. This is the first one I've textured. I've painted a lot of helmets over the years, but I've never textured one, at least not with the right stuff. This texture I got from J. Murray 1944, and it's good stuff. It's very close to the original. The paint, I restore military vehicles, so I just had this paint around, but it's the right color for early war. So just a base coat, and then more texture, and then a base coat, and then more texture, and then go over it again and more texture. And I think the cardboard had more appropriate texture than the helmet did, but it was just kind of a slow process of painting, corking, and then when I got it about where I wanted it to be, I let it dry. That's kind of how it turned out. It looks better wet. When it dried, the paint kind of contracted a little bit. But a trick for if you don't want that really, the cork sticking up and looking really aggressive, just take a board or something and just smash it. It doesn't take all of it out, but it'll make it look a lot better than if you just left it alone. It really looks like a repaint or a retexture if you just leave it up. So that's how it turned out. I decided to put some reproduction chin straps on it. And that's the correct thread. If sewing is one of those skills that you don't think about, but you should have some knowledge, at least basic knowledge of sewing. This is the correct the OD3 thread that I used to just zigzag these straps on. It's a little bit tricky to know kind of the distance or the width. I compared to a few originals, and they're all over the place as far as how big that loop is and where the stitching is, the bar tacking it would have been originally. So I could have used the pedal, used the electric machine, which I guess is what it's for, but I want a little more control, so I just did it by hand, and turned out pretty good. The color that you see there is probably the more correct color, and the other lights I've got, it looks too dark, but that's how it turned out. Like I said, the texture's maybe a little bit thin. I probably could have done more texture in hindsight, but that's okay. So it came with this net, I think they call it like a pretend net or something. It's almost a British style without the knots. It's just woven. But since it said it was, let's see, pretend net, I decided to chuck it. And I'd already bought this one, so I went with this one. And putting these nets on is a little bit tedious. There's a drawstring on these. So you just pull the string a little bit, work it a little bit, pull the string a little bit, work it a little bit. And it's a little annoying. It takes a little bit of patience. So since this is taking a minute, is this worth doing? I mean, the repainting and the retexturing and everything. Overall, I don't think so. The helmet itself is about $50, and I have over that in the parts. So if you're going for a user that you don't mind getting banged up, it looks the part. But as far as cost efficient, you can get a pretty decent later M1 helmet on eBay for less than this, and do the same thing that would be a lot more wearable. I used a khaki net for this. The olive drab is probably more accurate for this, but I like the look, I like the contrast. And putting the liner in, I wasn't sure how this is going to look, but the leather chin strap across the front really makes a difference. When I was painting it, I thought, let's see how this looks, but you get that on there, and it looks pretty good. It looks almost original. It would fool some people, I guess. But one of those iconic looks is having the chin strap to the back. You can see the bar tacking I did by hand. So I thought I'd give it a try. And this, it always looks better in movies and video games. They don't go back real nicely. I was looking at original pictures, and there's not one right way to do it. I did it with the buckle on the outside because I didn't want to hook anything, hook the net, or, it looks kind of unfinished if it's on the inside. But that is about it. It turned out pretty good. Kind of complete now. I have probably 50 M1 helmets. I don't really need this one, but it was a fun experiment. Like I said, the lighting doesn't look great there, but if I take it outside, that's how it turned out. Let me know if you have questions, if you have comments, if you have something else that you want me to do, let me know.